AITA for leaving my surprise wedding because I felt blindsided? I am not the original poster. Op deleted her account, but not her stories, which were originally on r. Am I the asshole in r. AITAH? AITA for leaving my surprise wedding because I felt blindsided? The 19th of June 2023. Last week, I, 30F, was invited to a supposedly fancy party by my longtime boyfriend, Mark, 32M. We had been dating for 5 years. And while we had discussed marriage before, there were no immediate plans for a wedding. Excited about the event, I dressed up in my best attire and arrived at the designated venue. As I entered the grand hall, I was completely taken aback to see all of our family, friends, and acquaintances gathered, eagerly waiting. It turns out, Mark had orchestrated an elaborate surprise wedding for us without my knowledge. Everyone erupted into applause as I stood there, shocked and overwhelmed. I just felt a mix of emotions. While I love Mark and had dreamed of our future together, the idea of getting married without any prior discussion or consent felt like a breach of trust. So, I pulled Mark aside and tried to express my concerns and reservations about the surprise wedding. I explained that I wanted a say in the planning process, to be part of the decision-making, and to have the chance to prepare mentally and emotionally for such a significant milestone in our lives. However, Mark dismissed my concerns, saying that he thought it would be a romantic gesture and that I would be thrilled. In that moment, I faced a difficult choice: go along with the surprise wedding, putting on a smile despite feeling unsettled, or stand up for my autonomy and voice my true feelings. I ultimately made the decision not to proceed with the surprise wedding, much to the disappointment and confusion of our guests. Now, I find myself at odds with Mark, our families, and even some of our friends who believe I overreacted and spoiled a beautiful moment. However, I firmly believe that a marriage should be a joint decision, with open communication and shared expectations. Everyone's excuse for this is I have always talked about marrying Mark. And again, the problem isn't marrying him. The problem is not having any say in my wedding. Mark thought I'd appreciate it, because I always spoke about how stressful planning a wedding must be. Yes, I think it's stressful. It is, but I'd still like planning one. After this whole ordeal, everyone asked if Mark and I were ending things, in which I replied no. I emphasized towards them, and Mark still wanted to marry him. And most feel like this is making me more of an asshole since I just wasted a perfectly fine wedding. So AITA for refusing to attend my own surprise wedding, even though it was intended as a romantic gesture? Edit. I previously omitted this from my post because of the subreddit's word count guidelines. I love surprises, it's a thing everyone has known me to love. Mark, knowing that, the fact I wanted to marry him, and said wedding planning was stressful, thought a surprise wedding would be perfect. A surprise engagement is bland, because it will always be a surprise but not a wedding. Lol. He threw this wedding for the surprise, but explained how in a couple days we could do a courthouse wedding to make it legal. This was his only way to surprise me. I love spontaneity, but legal marriage or not, I wanted a say in my wedding, to choose the perfect date, to choose my bridesmaids, to pick out my cake. Again, due to these thoughts, everyone thinks I'm the asshole, because I could have went along with the party and do a redo legal wedding. But again, I felt blindsided and confused, so I left. Verdict. NTA. Comment that sums up many people's feelings. NTA. I admire you, Op, for saying no and not just going along with it. You did the right thing. Putting someone in a position that makes them feel guilty or embarrassed to say no is not a romantic thing to do at all. It's emotionally manipulative. If he is apologetic and wants to plan a wedding together, then you have yourself a great guy. If he gets all weird and or angry about it, you dodged a bullet. One way or the other, things will work out the way they are supposed to. Update: AITA for leaving my surprise wedding because I felt blindsided? The 1st of July 2023. I want to start off by thanking everyone for the responses I got and the advice. However, I would like to reiterate that Mark is a great person who did a stupid thing. If you knew me though, a surprise wedding seems like something I would love. Unfortunately, I didn't. After talking to Mark, we both got to the conclusion that we didn't do anything wrong. Both of us are valid in our opinions and the situation was an odd one. Unfortunately, Mark spent a lot of money on planning this wedding, as well as family members. He doesn't think that we have the funds to plan another wedding until a couple years. I will be honest, that choice is really messing with me. I'd like to be married sometime soon and start out life as a family. I know weddings don't have to be extravagant. We could always throw a small party, and once we have enough money, do a second one. But I don't know if that's what I want. I honestly feel selfish and regret not using the surprise wedding. I feel like I wasted a bunch of money. I used to stand by my choice confidently, but now I'm not sure I made the right choice and all this stress is wearing me down. Anyway, I'm staying with Mark. Probably will get married soon and have my dream wedding in the near future, hopefully. Again, thanks to all the responses. And I hope people from AITA also see this post. Top comment: personally, the fact that he blew all the wedding money on a surprise without any consultation or care at all to what you actually wanted, then blew you off when you tried to express your very genuine concern, is still raising red flags for me. Not gonna say it has to be a deal breaker. I don't know him, but the general lack of concern or care towards your wants and needs and a willingness to spend large amounts of savings on something for you that you absolutely did not want at all, then trying to pressure you into it because he backed you into a corner, is to me still very much cause for concern. But I recognize that I have only seen a tiny piece of this puzzle and I wish you the best. Reminder: I am not the original poster. Flared as concluded, as OOP has decided how she's going to handle this and appears to be trying to move on. Did anyone else read a post recently where OP was the best friend whom got approached by the groom about a surprise wedding? Or am I imagining things? It's a bold move to throw a surprise wedding for your girlfriend with all your friends and family in attendance at a huge cost and pressure her to go ahead with it when she feels uncomfortable. But then again, Mark's a bold guy. Is bold the right word? So the family was there and even helped pay for the wedding? And no one warned her about this? No one thought this could backfire? And every single woman in that room who's married and planned a wedding before knew that this wouldn't have made her happy. Do all these people confuse real life with movies and care so little about OOP? Consent matters, especially for any life-changing event. People like to be on the receiving end of a surprise wedding about as much as of a surprise pregnancy. A surprise wedding like Andy and April in Park and Rec is great. A surprise wedding to one of the prospective spouses is no bueno. Even if you love surprises, that's a step too far. Taking away someone's autonomy and forcing them to make an awkward scene in front of family and friends is just too much. Is it weird that her parents or family were on board with this idea? Nobody mentioned anything to her before the day? He blew their money on a surprise wedding as well. Now they are broke for the next few years. That's not a good sign for the relationship. I'm so confused by all of this, but she refers to Mark as her boyfriend in the post. Are they not even engaged yet and he's trying to sneak attack her with a wedding like that? So bizarre. Yeah, this is beyond wild to me. I have been to a surprise wedding. But it was a surprise for the guests, not the bride or groom. They did it to avoid drama during the wedding planning because one of their moms is a controlling nut job. They told us all they were having a picnic at this lake and got Airbnbs so we didn't have to drive back. Showed up and it was their wedding. One of the coolest weddings I have ever been to. Definitely the chillest. I don't understand how these two stay together after this. He blew all the wedding money on this charade and now all the family is probably gonna be weird about showing up to a second wedding. It's like he thought the wedding was just something to get over with. So they just sit around for a few more years saving up. All the while they resent each other. Why get married if you are not gonna act as a team? Can't wait for the update where he surprised her with a house she hates. Isn't this literally manipulation? You don't force PPL to make important life change decision by one surprise one. Granted, I am making a sweeping generalization, but women tend to dream about the perfect wedding. So in what headspace did this guy think ripping all of that away from her was a smart move? And where did this money come from? Was it all his? Or did he steal from their joint accounts? It's really disgusting that she regrets her decision and thinks neither of them is at fault. Speaking just for myself, this whole thing made me supremely uncomfortable. Like I got secondhand triggered by the surprise or something. I'm really surprised that no one in OOP's family had the good sense to say, you know, this is a sweet idea and all, but maybe, just maybe, she's not going to like it as much as you think. A surprise wedding is supposed to be a surprise for the guests, not the wedding party. I would have turned and walked out as well. I am not good when put on the spot, and I will freeze and walk away to let my emotions out in private. I legit know someone this happened to. She called him to come over and when he walked in everyone was there and a pastor. He was too nice to say no. Worst idea. She was controlling and abusive and after 10 years he finally escaped. It's weird that Op is the one being made to feel bad about wasting money. But not Mark. He's even concluded somehow that he has done nothing wrong. Huh? Girl should run. If he wanted to surprise her he could have thrown her a surprise birthday party or something normal. Yikes. If you want to plan a surprise, do it during the engagement. The wedding needs both parties' input, especially if someone really wants their third cousin removed invited who they are really close with. I do have serious questions about his logic. I'm still shaking my head thinking, WTF was his thought process here? I used to stand by my choice confidently. But now I'm not sure I made the right choice and all this stress is wearing me down. Anyway, I'm staying with Mark. Probably will get married soon. And have my dream wedding in the near future hopefully. The mistake was staying with him after he was like, I spent all the wedding money already. So nope. Can't get married anytime soon. What gets me is how she blames herself for this. She says she regrets wasting the money. She didn't do a damn thing. She needs to reevaluate Mark, their friends, and their families. She had the strength to see it was wrong and say no. Then they all ganged up on her and bullied her to this point. She needs to walk away from this life. It seems a bit controlling to throw a surprise wedding for your other half without their knowledge and consent. No matter how much anyone loves surprise, no one would ever want their own wedding to be one. How did everyone in OP's life went along with it? I don't even know. It seems insane to me. She wasn't even given the choice of picking out a wedding dress. This whole situation leaves me squicked out. I don't care how much a person loves surprises. Marriage is not something you just spring on someone. And a wedding is not something you just surprise the prospective bride or groom with. Oop was absolutely right in walking out. The whole, well, I blew so much money on this big party you didn't ask for means we can't have the wedding you actually wanted spiel reeks of the boyfriend punishing her for walking out. I hope he's as nice as she says he is. Or that she sees the difference between nice and nice. Whichever would work best for her. I'm appalled they're even still dating. He threw a surprise wedding where there was so much social pressure to go along with it. Guilted her over refusing and inconveniencing people. And is blaming her for the money he apparently couldn't afford to gamble. And may have borrowed to do so. While still thinking he did nothing wrong. AKA doesn't think her informed consent and contribution to a major life event mattered. He didn't see the wedding and marriage as something that should be a collaborative effort, and apparently still doesn't get why that's a problem. And she's trying to justify that boundary, rather than see the red flags. JFC.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.